Oedipus Complex. The Oedipus Complex is one of the most famous psychological concepts introduced by Sigmund Freud. It describes a child's unconscious feelings of desire for the opposite-sex parent and rivalry with the same-sex parent. Freud named it after the Greek myth of Oedipus, a man who unknowingly killed his father and married his mother. In early childhood, Freud theorized that boys develop an attachment to their mothers and see their fathers as competitors for her attention. At the same time, they fear punishment, leading to what Freud called castration anxiety. For girls, Freud controversially linked this to feelings of penis envy and desire for their father. Freud believed the Oedipus complex occurs during the phallic stage, stages 3 to 6, and resolving it is crucial for healthy emotional development. If unresolved, it may lead to relationship difficulties later in life. While criticized, the Oedipus complex remains foundational in psychoanalysis, emphasizing early childhood relationships in shaping adult identity and behavior. Electra Complex. The Electra Complex, introduced by Carl Jung, describes a girl's unconscious desire for her father and rivalry with her mother. The name comes from Electra, a Greek mythological figure devoted to her father and seeking revenge on her mother. Jung linked this complex to the phallic stage of development, ages 3 to 6, where girls feel a connection to their fathers and jealousy toward their mothers. Freud tied this to penis envy, though this aspect has been widely criticized. Resolving the Electra complex involves identifying with the mother, fostering emotional balance and healthy relationships. If unresolved, it can lead to challenges in romantic relationships later in life. Despite debate, the Electra complex underscores the complexity of parent-child dynamics and their role in emotional growth.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Inferiority Complex. The Inferiority Complex, developed by Alfred Adler, describes deep feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and inferiority. These feelings often arise from comparison to others and perceiving oneself as less capable or successful. Adler argued that feelings of inferiority can motivate self-improvement. However, if these feelings become chronic, they can lead to overcompensation, such as seeking validation or striving for perfection. This often creates a cycle of fear that reinforces a sense of inadequacy. Understanding the inferiority complex emphasizes the importance of self-compassion and realistic self-assessment. Growth comes not from perfection, but from embracing flaws and striving for improvement. Superiority Complex. A superiority complex, also described by Adler, is a defense mechanism masking feelings of inferiority. People with this complex project an inflated sense of self-worth or arrogance to compensate for deep-seated insecurities. Those with a superiority complex may boast about achievements, dismiss others' opinions, or belittle those around them. This behavior often hides fear of failure or rejection, leading to isolation and stress. Rejection wounds caused by suicidal thought. The superiority complex teaches the value of authenticity and reminds us that true confidence comes from self-acceptance and respecting others. Cassandra Complex. The Cassandra Complex, based on the Greek myth of Cassandra, describes situations where valid warnings or predictions are ignored or dismissed. People with this complex often feel powerless, frustrated, or alienated. They may repeatedly warn others about potential problems, only to be met with disbelief or indifference. This can lead to self-doubt or feelings of hopelessness, even when their insights are correct. The Cassandra Complex underscores the importance of listening to diverse perspectives and valuing voices of reason to avoid serious consequences. God Complex. A God complex describes a personality with an inflated sense of power, invincibility, or superiority. People with this complex often dismiss criticism or others' perspectives, believing they are infallible. This complex often appears in leaders or individuals who achieve great success. While confidence is important, unchecked arrogance can lead to poor decisions and a lack of accountability. The God complex is a cautionary tale about pride, reminding us that true greatness requires humility and a willingness to adapt and learn. Narcissistic Complex. The Narcissistic Complex refers to an excessive preoccupation with oneself, characterized by grandiosity, a lack of empathy, and a deep need for admiration. It takes its name from Narcissus, a figure in Greek mythology who fell in love with his own reflection. While narcissism exists on a spectrum, in its extreme form, it can manifest as narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. People with a narcissistic complex often present an image of confidence and superiority. They may seek constant validation and admiration from others while dismissing or belittling those around them. However, beneath this facade of self-importance often lies a fragile self-esteem. Criticism, even when constructive, can feel like a personal attack, leading to defensiveness or hostility. This complex impacts relationships significantly. Narcissistic individuals may struggle to form genuine connections because their focus is on their own needs rather than mutual understanding. Their lack of empathy can alienate others, creating a cycle of shallow or transactional interactions. The narcissistic complex serves as a reminder of the importance of balance in self-perception. Healthy self-esteem involves valuing oneself without diminishing others. This complex also highlights how insecurity can drive behaviors that appear confident but are ultimately confident. Understanding this complex encourages empathy for those who exhibit these traits, while also emphasizing the need for boundaries to protect well-being. Peter Pan Complex. The Peter Pan Complex describes adults who refuse to grow up, preferring to avoid responsibilities and cling to the carefree nature of youth. The term comes from J.M. Barrie's character Peter Pan, a boy who lives in Neverland and never ages. People with a Peter Pan complex often shy away from adult responsibilities like careers, relationships, or financial independence. They might rely heavily on others, such as parents or partners, to manage their lives. This behavior can stem from fear of failure, a desire to avoid stress, or difficulty letting go of childhood comfort. While maintaining a sense of playfulness and wonder is healthy, refusing to embrace adulthood can lead to significant challenges. Over time, the Peter Pan complex can strain relationships, as others may feel burdened by their inability to take responsibility. It can also hinder personal growth and fulfillment, as avoiding challenges prevents learning and development. This complex sheds light on the fear of change and the allure of staying within one's comfort zone. It reminds us that maturity doesn't mean abandoning joy or imagination. Instead, it's about balancing these qualities with accountability and independence. Messiah Complex. The Messiah Complex refers to the belief that one is destined to save or rescue others, often leading to self-sacrificial behavior. While the intention may seem noble, it often stems from an inflated sense of responsibility or an underlying need to feel important or needed. People with a Messiah Complex frequently take on the role of a savior in personal or professional contexts. They may go to great lengths to help others, even when it's not asked for or necessary. Over time, this can create dependency, as those they help become reliant on them. It can also lead to burnout, as the person with the Messiah Complex neglects their own needs to save others. At its core, this complex reflects a struggle with boundaries. The desire to help can be admirable, but when it comes at the expense of one's well-being or autonomy, it becomes problematic. It can also mask deeper issues, such as feelings of inadequacy or a need for validation. The Messiah Complex teaches the importance of recognizing limits and respecting the agency of others. True compassion involves empowering others rather than taking over their struggles. It's a reminder that helping is most effective when it is balanced and sustainable. Martyr Complex. The Martyr Complex describes a mindset where individuals seek out suffering or self-sacrifice, often to gain sympathy, validation, or a sense of purpose. People with this complex may place themselves in difficult situations, take on more than their share of responsibilities, or refuse help, believing their suffering makes them morally superior or more deserving of recognition. Martyrs often adopt a pattern of self-neglect, overworking themselves to meet the needs of others. While their intentions may seem altruistic, this behavior can create resentment and strain relationships. Over time, the person with a martyr complex may feel unappreciated or victimized, further reinforcing their belief in their own sacrifice. This complex often stems from childhood experiences where self-sacrifice was praised or where love and attention were earned through suffering. It can also arise from low self-esteem, where individuals feel their worth is tied to how much they endure for others. And the martyr complex highlights the need for healthy boundaries and self-care. True generosity comes from a place of balance, not self-neglect. This complex serves as a reminder that taking care of oneself is not selfish. It's essential for meaningful and sustainable relationships. The mother complex refers to an exaggerated dependence on or conflict with one's mother, which significantly impacts a person's relationships and self-identity. This concept was explored by Carl Jung, who believed that the mother archetype plays a crucial role in shaping one's emotional development. People with a positive mother complex may idealize their mother, seeking her approval in all aspects of life. This can lead to dependence, making it difficult to form independent relationships. On the other hand, a negative mother complex can manifest as resentment or unresolved anger toward one's mother, often resulting in difficulties with authority figures or intimate partners. This complex is not limited to literal mothers. It can also apply to maternal figures or the concept of nurturing and care. The mother complex often influences how individuals view themselves, oscillating between feelings of security and inadequacy based on their relationship with this archetype. Understanding the mother complex encourages self-reflection and emotional growth. It highlights the importance of resolving early attachments to develop a healthier sense of self and establish balanced relationships with others. Hero Complex. The hero complex describes a compulsion to consistently act as a savior, often to gain validation or self-worth. People with this complex seek out opportunities to rescue others, even when their intervention is unnecessary or unrequested. This behavior can be driven by a genuine desire to help, but often stems from deeper insecurities. By playing the hero, individuals with this complex gain a sense of importance and control. However, this can lead to dependency in relationships or undermine the autonomy of those they aim to help. The hero complex reminds us of the need to respect others' independence. True heroism lies in empowering others, not overshadowing them. It teaches the value of helping with humility and understanding rather than seeking personal recognition. Complex of guilt. The complex of guilt refers to persistent feelings of guilt and self-blame, often disproportionate to the actual events or circumstances. People with this complex may hold themselves accountable for things beyond their control or overemphasize minor mistakes, leading to a cycle of self-criticism and shame. This complex can develop from various sources, such as childhood experiences, where individuals were frequently blamed or made to feel responsible for the emotions or actions of others. It may also stem from cultural or religious teachings that emphasize perfection or moral purity, creating an unrealistic standard of behavior. The complex of guilt can significantly affect mental health, contributing to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. It may also impact relationships, as individuals with this complex often feel unworthy of love or struggle to assert their needs for fear of causing harm or disappointment. Understanding this complex involves recognizing the difference between healthy guilt, which helps us learn and grow, and excessive guilt, which is self-destructive. Addressing it requires developing self-compassion, challenging distorted thinking, and learning to set realistic expectations for oneself. This complex highlights the importance of forgiveness, not just for others but for oneself. It teaches that growth comes from acknowledging mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward, rather than dwelling on the past. Complex of persecution. The complex of persecution describes a persistent belief that one is being targeted, victimized, or unfairly treated. People with this complex often perceive hostility or threats from others, even when there is little or no evidence to support these fears. This complex can manifest as paranoia, where individuals constantly feel watched, judged, or attacked. It may stem from past experiences of betrayal, trauma, or exclusion, which create a heightened sensitivity to perceived slights or criticisms. In some cases, it may be associated with underlying mental health conditions like paranoia or delusional disorders. The complex of persecution can strain relationships and make it difficult to trust others. People with this complex may withdraw from social interactions or become overly defensive, interpreting neutral or kind gestures as insincere or malicious. Addressing this complex requires building trust and challenging distorted perceptions. It involves understanding the difference between genuine threats and imagined ones, often with the help of therapy or counseling. This complex reminds us of the importance of fostering empathy and communication in relationships. It also highlights the need for self-awareness to differentiate between external challenges and internal fears. Adonis Complex. The Adonis Complex refers to an obsession with achieving an idealized muscular physique, often tied to body image issues and low self-esteem. Named after Adonis, the handsome figure from Greek mythology, This complex primarily affects men, although women can experience similar pressures. People with the Adonis complex may engage in excessive exercise, strict dieting, or the use of performance-enhancing substances, like steroids, to attain their desired body. Despite their efforts, they often feel dissatisfied, perceiving themselves as not muscular or lean enough. This condition, sometimes called muscle dysmorphia, can lead to physical and mental health issues, including injury, disordered eating, and social isolation. The complex arises from societal and cultural standards that equate physical appearance with worth or masculinity. Media portrayals of idealized male bodies reinforce these pressures, making individuals feel inadequate if they don't measure up to these unrealistic standards. Addressing the Adonis complex involves fostering a healthier relationship with one's body and challenging societal ideals. It's important to focus on holistic well-being, emphasizing strength, health, and self-acceptance, rather than striving for perfection. This complex reminds us of the dangers of unrealistic expectations and the need to value ourselves beyond appearance. It underscores the importance of promoting body positivity and self-compassion in a world that often prioritizes image over substance.